Welcome back everyone to today's third video. In this video we're going to be looking at the latest on Storm Gerrit and also the possible very cold start to mid-January, what has been on the cards over the last couple of days and the last week. But today we have seen some more models going for it to go pretty cool, quite cold into the new year. So we're going to be having a look at that for you, but most important of all, we're going to be looking at the latest developments on Storm Gerrit today and the winds and the warnings, what have been put in place. So without further ado, let's get into this. So the current situation we've got with the winds, some winds becoming quite dangerous. Most of the country, extreme winds, especially northern, northeastern Scotland, looking very, very windy. So especially Lerwick and the islands up here looking really gusts, and definitely the strongest winds just to the north of Scotland, and very strong winds out in the Atlantic as well. But Cornwall, Wales, the west of England, most of England now, especially the west, I would say. I'd say the line severe, it's about there. But even on the east coast now, we are getting them winds pushing up from the south, and a lot of the country having some really strong gusts now. So looking very windy at the moment, as you can see, and then winds wrapping around and from the southwest and then the east, and it's looking very wet and windy at the moment. Yes, so very strong winds coming off the Atlantic at the moment, and then winds are wrapping around this low pressure just here, and for Scotland and the north, it's actually becoming more of a northeasterly just there. So it is going to be very wet, windy and unsettled today with Storm Gerrit. So now let's show you the Met Office warnings. So looking like this, we've got a lot of warnings today. We've got wind warning for the south coast across here, that's no surprise. We've got wind warning across Wales and also rain warning in Wales as well, so not much change there. Also quite a lot of rain warnings for Scotland places, another rain warning up here, we've got more wind here, another rain warning stretching down there. We've got a lot of warnings, haven't we? And based on Scotland just now, we have got rain warning, and we've got a rain and snow warning because we have been seeing some blizzards in Scotland, some very strong winds and some winteriness, so that is the reason for that. And also a wind warning stretching all the way up here for Scotland, just there. So a lot of warnings in place at the moment, but we're going to show you the GFS, ECM and GEM charts just now to show you why that's happening and possible cold on the way as this low pressure slides through. So let's show you that just now. Okay, so first of all, the GFS 6Z is looking like this. Once again, there's some strong winds coming off the Atlantic from the south, affecting most of the country. Very strong winds at the moment. As you can see, them isobars packed tightly together. That is the reason for the wind as the Storm Gerrit moves in. Also, them winds from Scotland going a bit more easterly, southeasterly, easterly, so that'll be strong winds as well. They're all wrapping around this low pressure in the Atlantic, so that is the main reason for all of the storms at the moment. So we're going to run this through now, show you what comes after this. So Storm Gerrit carries on bringing wet, windy, unsettled weather for this week, but after another quite large area of wet, windy, unsettled, stormy weather just here sweeps through, and that's going to bring even more wet, windy and unsettled weather off the Atlantic. So once again, same pattern really. So as we carry on after this though, try to go a bit colder, but once again that low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, but we do go a bit colder by around the 6th of January with today's 6Z, with high pressure actually strengthening over Scandinavia. Is this a bit of a response to this displacement of the polar vortex? We will see. With the chance of an SSW could even give us even more blocking. So we are spreading quite a long fetch northeasterly from Scandinavia, so it could turn quite chilly, quite cold at this point. Let's look at the upper air temperatures based on that. So as you can see, by the 6th of January, we are actually pulling the -5 temperatures and actually trying to get the -10 in by the 9th of January. So let's see how that happens. So by the 9th of January, keep that cold weather in from the north, and the Atlantic does try to break through, but is being held off by this, and that would get quite interesting with that, because we've got high pressure up here blocking the Atlantic, blocking off the Atlantic. We've got a weather front trying to move in, a weather front here, but this cold air is actually still digging in, so it could produce quite a lot of snow that could. But that is the 12th of January. It's very far in the future, so that's very unlikely that will verify. But now we're going to show you the next chart. I think it's a GEM, so let's show you that. Or is it? Yeah, GEM. Okay, so once again, GEM, same situation with them. Westerly winds, strong winds coming up. Exactly the same as the GFS for today. So let's run through and see how this develops into the new year. So we keep bringing them wet, windy, unsettled weather, and we do get a bit of a colder spell quite early around the 29th of December here. There's the wind trying to get into the northeast actually there. So let's see what the upper air temperatures are looking like based on that. So we go through the 29th. We do try to start getting the wind in from a northeasterly, but the Atlantic probably wins that battle. Yes, it does. So there is signs that it tries to get a colder snap in there. But once again, probably another named storm there. Look how intense that is. Another named storm slides, well, another storm, might not be named, slides through the country, and we keep very wet, windy and unsettled. But as you can see, heights are starting to be raised over Greenland, and we do start bringing a weather front down. It's a bit of a battle. The Atlantic's trying to win it, and the cold, the mild versus the cold there. That could be interesting as well with that one. So now let's show you the ECMWF charts. Okay, so the short range ECMWF charts are looking like this. So once again, starts off same situation, storm moving through and wet, windy and settled off the Atlantic. And then by the 1st of January, we actually go quite cold, cooler from the north with the midnight run from the ECMWF. So let's see what that turns into. So as we go colder from the north just there, we actually keep it quite cold there. We keep the cold until around the 4th of January when the Atlantic tries to break through, but we actually get that weather front stuck trying to come in. The winds will be wrapping around that low like this, and we actually keep the quite cold. So that will once again be interesting for especially the west. With that, for snow pushing in off the precipitation, wet, windy, unsettled weather moving in off the Atlantic, but still cold for the UK actually, could bring quite a snow event there. So that's once again a very interesting chart. So now we're going to show you the GFS ensembles chart. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so this is what the GFS ensembles are looking like. So at the moment we are a bit above average, but we are going to see that drop, and in the new year it could get down to -5 just there, as you can see. And then we do have a bit of a rise in the temperature. It's very up and down, as you can see. Then around the 3rd of January, after that, it does go quite below average, and we don't really recover. So we are going for quite a cold spell here. Is that because of the warming over the North Pole and the stratosphere? That could be a response just there, but it's quite early for a response when SSW isn't supposed to be happening until around the 8th of January. So we will see how that comes off. So now we're going to show you the ECMWF charts for the next 2 weeks, so let's show you them. Okay, so this is what the 500 millibar heights look like. from ECMWF from the 1st of January to the 8th of January. We've actually got high pressure blocking towards Greenland here and Iceland, so that actually quite a cold signal for week 1 here, and block pattern, a trough low pressure pushing south in Europe, and we actually bring the wind in from looking like quite cold northeasterly there, so that's very, very interesting. So let's show you the temperature based on that, the precipitation based on that, temperatures next, and that looks like this. So we are drier up here where that high pressure was. So a bit Scotland probably a bit dry, but most of the country around average or maybe a bit above average precipitation that could fall as snow if them charts do come off, as it looks very cold. So here's the temperature, let's see. Wow, very, very cold actually. Look how cold it is over Europe at the moment, looking very, very cold. And we are actually going below average temperatures for the whole country there. So that's very interesting for week 1 from the ECMWF. But we will show you week 2. So let's do that for you now. So week 2 is going to look like this. So week 2 looks like this. Week 2 actually looks even better. So that blocking signal towards Greenland strengthens in the Atlantic and towards Iceland as well. Really strengthens up. And that low pressure drops even more south towards Spain and Portugal. And we actually bring the really cold, really, really long fetched northerly up from the Arctic, from the northeast. It looks very cold there once again. So let's see what the precipitation's looking like based on that. So we're looking like this. So that was the 8th to the 15th of January, by the way. So we are looking drier than average actually, or around average, because that blocking is a bit high pressure, a little bit close to us. But let's see what that does to the temperatures. So this is the temperatures. Oh, it's gone even colder by week 2. Look at Europe once again, very cold. And us bringing that wind in from the northeast, and we go cold through the whole country. Even places like Spain and Portugal actually cooling down. It looks very, very cold actually for week 2 just there. So that's very, very interesting. But quickly we will just show you the heights for a couple more weeks ahead from the ECMWF, because it is quite interesting. So this is week 3, 15th January to 22nd, and that once again has the high pressure over Greenland and low pressure here, and it brings it from a proper northerly there. So it's still cold for week 3. What do we do for week 4? So this is 22nd to 29th of January. Once again, high pressure out towards Greenland. Low pressure here, and we're bringing in that northeasterly once again. So it's very cold from the ECMWF, but we will have a look at the final week 5. So let's just have a look at week 5 for a bit of fun. And once again, actually, that blocking signal up here, low pressure here, we start bringing the wind in from the northeast once again. Wow, wow, wow. So that is looking very, very interesting today for colder weather into the new year. Maybe a new year, different weather could be on the way. But once again, it is going to be quite stormy for the next couple of days. And it could turn cooler after that. So we'll have to keep an eye out. But I am going to leave you with the warnings from the Met Office today. So I'm going to leave you with the warnings today from the Met Office. So we are looking very, very stormy, wet, windy, unsettled. Maybe there's a change on the way into the new year, but except from that, that'll be all for today's third video, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.